Welcome to Pop-O-Holics, the show about hot, tasty, fast, and furious takes, hotter than hot, tasty, fast, and furious pancakes. Oh, the trip, the ride, it's been a hell of a time. We've reached the end of the road with Dom and the gang, and it's been a hell of a time watching F9. I messed up the rhyme a little bit. Anyway, the point is, we're here! We're back! And we're on video with a main review. How exciting is that? And it was, the one time I had to nail the intro. It totally messed it up.
You were so close.
I was so close. I know. I rhymed time with time. Who am I? Future? Anyway. So, Brian feels personally attacked for some reason. My name is Christian Katie. I'm the host of the show, and I'm joined, as always, by my two best friends.
Chris Conkling.
And Brian Dupree.
And we have a very special guest. He was on our Fast Five. He is our Fast Five review that you can check out in the link below, in the video description, or in the show notes to find all of our great reviews of all the Fast and Furious movies that we did. He was our guest on the Fast Five one, and he is the host of the Careful for Spoilers network. Like he's a mogul. He's a media mogul, people, and the new Villains podcast, as well as Anime Lately. You got so many credits. Are you starting a movie? I don't know. He's just doing everything.
One day.
The wonderful James Barnes.
Thank you guys so much for having me back. Love Fast and the Furious. Had so much fun in our Fast Five review. And now we get to talk about the most ridiculous film in the franchise, F9. Let's get it.
Bold claim. We may go toe to toe on that claim of what hails as the most ridiculous Fast movie. We are capping them all off, and we're excited that you're here to join us. We couldn't think of a better guest. What is that movie we're reviewing? Oh, it is the new, the exciting, the Fast and the Furious. F9 from the Fast saga. Play that trailer.
I used to live my life a quarter mile at a time. But things changed. I'm a father now. I will always be in your heart.
Little Brian, I have a gift for you. Your daddy gave me this. No, I'm gonna give it to you. It's very special. It's for protection from what's coming.
All right, Dom. What's next?
No matter how fast you are,
I am not to be compared to you.
no one outruns their past.
I am more easy, you try.
That is from the trailer of F9. And a little bit of a spoiler alert, not a huge one. That opening scene is not in the movie at all.
A lot of that dialogue isn't in the movie either.
Yeah.
A lot of the trailer dialogue isn't nowhere
Very
in this
interesting.
movie.
Very fascinating. Fascinating. Maybe that's what the F in F9 stands for.
Fascinating.
So we've been... I'm going to move the mouse off the video feed. God, what a train wreck we run. We have been talking all month about the Fast saga, as it is now known, but the Fast and Furious series, we covered the Fast and the Furious. We covered Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, the Fast 5, and now that don't let me forget Furious 7, and that brings us to the newest film in the series, F9. So what are we going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about our experience back in the theater. First movie that me, Brian, and Chris saw in the theater. Mine since Tenet. Chris's since Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic the Hedgehog in February of 2020. Oof.
Wow.
Brian since 3 days ago when he saw something, because he's been going to theater like
Yeah,
mad.
I saw The Conjuring
Yeah.
before this, yeah.
Crazy man. And James, I know you've seen a few films. But we're going to be talking about being back in the theater. We're going to have kind of like a little bit of discussion there. Our overall non-spoiler thoughts of this movie. So if you haven't seen it yet, that's okay. We're going to be giving you non-spoiler thoughts. Some of our once we're done with that, we are going to go into spoilers. We'll have a nice bumper for you. On the video, there will be a transition. I'll have Chris put like a red spoiler title. We'll do something. I don't know. He never wants to play my themes. So subscribe to the podcast if you want to hear all the great audio work that I do that Chris doesn't feel the need to put in the video. Anyway, no shade.
A little shade.
I'm not going to acknowledge any of that.
I'm just gonna let us live in it for a second.
Just breathe that in.
Family. So once we jump into spoilers, we're going to talk about our favorite moments, compare them to the rest of the series, final thoughts on our Fast and Furious month, and what we'd like to see in F10, as we know is going to be called Fast 10, your seatbelts.
Yes.
So we are talking F9, 2021, directed by Justin Lin, written by Justin Lin and Daniel Casey, scored by Brian Tyler, with a budget of $200 million. It is already made its money back at $270 million as of this recording, plus $1 million. And it stars, of course, Vin Diesel as Dominic Toretto, Vinnie Bennett as young Dominic, notably the son of Vin Diesel, Michelle Rodrigues, Tyrese Gibson, Chris Ludacris, Bridges, John Cena, Finn Cole, Jordana Brewster, and many more, some of which are spoilers, so we won't even discuss some of the other actors that are in this. So let's get started. James, was this your first time back in the theater?
No, I've been fortunate enough that COVID hasn't been that bad in Tennessee, specifically Nashville, that I've been to the theater quite a few times. Saw F9 today, saw The Conjuring right at the beginning of the month, A Quiet Place 2, Spiral, Wrath of Man. I saw Mortal Kombat in theater as well. So, I mean, it's been pretty normal for me going to the theater, watching all of these different movies. So, yeah, I've been having a really good time finally getting back, because like half of those movies that I mentioned were supposed to come out like summer 2020. So it's good to finally see these films, and I can't wait to see Black Widow in about a week and a half.
Very cool. Now, it was Brian, it was me and Chris's first time in the theater in a while, Chris being the longest. So Chris, I'm going to go to you. You were back in a theater, and I have some questions for how you felt, because I remember...
Lay them on me.
When I saw Tenet for the first time, like it was the first time back in theater since my Sonic the Hedgehog viewing, and that had been a year afterwards. And man, like, just give me, I don't want to taint your impression, but what was it like being in a theater again?
It was wonderful. Like, everything about it. I didn't feel like it was unsafe or anything like that. We've all been vaccinated. Like, people were wearing masks. The theaters were social distancing still with the seating arrangements. So honestly, the whole experience was just fantastic. It felt like going home. Like, the sights and the smells, it all just was super nostalgic. I didn't cry. I thought I might cry from the overwhelming emotion of finally getting back into a theater, especially considering we went to the Dolby Theater, which has like the best picture and best sound. But I missed it so much, man. And I'm just so happy that I can go back into a movie theater and experience films with you guys. You know, I think one of the most interesting things, kind of piggybacking off of what James was talking about, how a lot of these movies were meant to come out a year ago. Christian had gone to the bathroom, and Brian and I were waiting for the movie to start, and some of the trailers had started playing, and we saw a trailer for The King's Man. And Brian and I were joking that I saw a trailer for that movie in 2019, and it still hasn't come out. It's finally coming out this Christmas, but it's just a really surreal experience in terms of theater going and Hollywood in general. 2020 was really like the year that didn't exist. It's really the strangest thing, because we're still seeing those trailers from movies that were being marketed at the tail end of 2019, considering they thought they were going to come out early 2020. So yeah, overall, it's just super surreal, man. I had a blast, and I can't wait to go back to see Black Widow in a couple of weeks. So yeah, that was my take.
Chris, did you find it hard? Sorry to interrupt, Brian. Chris, did you find it hard to pay attention to the movie at all? Was there any sense of like overwhelming of how big the screen was and the people around you? Did you find any of that hard to concentrate on watching the movie?
No, not at all, actually. I didn't find it hard. Interestingly, though, I was not this type of person before the pandemic. I would go to the theater, I would pay attention to the movie, and I'm not going to say this is based on the quality of the film or anything like that, the quality of F9, but there was a moment in the middle of the movie where I had like the urge to pull my phone out, and I was like, oh, I'm not on my couch at home. So I it was brief, but like there was this like mental adjustment to I'm back in a theater with other people. Like we're not watching movies on my couch anymore, like I have been for the last 16 months. There's theater etiquette that I pride myself on living by, and I'm not going to join those that don't appreciate the same theater etiquette. But yeah, that was, I think, the one difference was like I had to readjust to not looking at my phone sometimes.
Speaking of theater etiquette, we followed none of it.
We were a little rowdy.
Oh, well, we
seemed
No,
to
we did it
enjoy the
exactly
film
right.
a little more than the others in the theater, but we'll get into that.
Brian, you were going to say it before I interrupted you.
Oh, no. I was just, I had the pleasure of driving up to Orlando to see this with you guys. It's the first movie that we'd seen together since we talked about Halloween way back in 2018. And yeah, like you said, I've been seeing movies throughout, but usually not with people and usually not in screenings that are even this crowded. So it was great. I am a little bit tired after the drive, but it was completely worth it. We had a Vin Diesel lookalike sitting behind us in the row, totally in character. And yeah, I will say in terms of theater etiquette, yes, we were laughing our asses off, and the only people in the theater seemingly to do so. Luckily, no one complained, but we were enjoying the movie as it's meant to be enjoyed. In my opinion.
Think so.
And yeah, the other people were just missing out.
I think we not to say anything about the rest of the audience, but I think we were most aware of what the film actually is.
I don't want
to
place us in a higher tier of watcher. I mean, we do have a pot. I mean, we should have told everybody.
This
hey,
is
everybody
the classic,
in the theater,
Chris. Just call them schmucks and get it over with.
Yeah, we should have.
I've learned my lesson.
Everyone, we have a podcast about this particular film, and our reactions are the valid reactions and how you should enjoy this content. Subscribe and smash that bell icon. So we had a grand old time. It was super great being in theater with you guys. We got the corn. I came through with the corn. We thought the line was too long, but Christian saved the corn.
Much appreciated, by the way.
It was so, but I haven't had buttery popcorn like that in forever. Like I was like hungry. Like I was actually hadn't like eat. Well, no.
You and I finished the entire box. It may have been mostly me, but
Yeah,
Did you really?
we finished the bucket.
I
Yeah,
crushed
we
the
went in.
first half of the bucket and basically by myself. We it was about half and half because I'm one of those that can't wait for like the movie to start and I just start nomming.
Oh yeah, I'm a popcorn purist. Start with the movie.
I had added so much butter, and I got most of that buttery topping because I like the first half. My lips were like,
Oh god,
you know what I mean? The
residual, yeah. You had a film.
It had coated my lips in such a way that I was not used to, and I was like, that's the detriment of eating popcorn so fast. All right, we haven't talked. We're like 20 minutes in this conversation. We've been talking about popcorn. People want to hear about our opinions on the Fast and Furious 9, which is F9, the saga. So let's not leave them wanting any longer. They finished their bucket of popcorn. They said, listen, I'm just ready for the feelings. So I'm ready for you to shut up and get into the film. So that's what we're going to do after this quick commercial break.
Do you think your balls are tiny? Do you want bigger balls?
James!
Explicit.
Got to earn that tag. Also, in the comments, start fighting right now. If you disagree with us, we want to know. James, what was your opinions on F9?
Yeah, non-spoiler thoughts. This film was exactly what I wanted. After Fate of the Furious, after all of the other films that came before, I just wanted more high-octane fun, crazy stunts with cars, Dom becoming even more of a superhero. That's all I wanted, and I got that in this movie in spades. They forgot that. Well, they ignored the laws of physics, and I loved every single moment of that. And I can't wait for us to get into spoilers. Like I said before, we got more action, more family stuff, which is something that I really appreciate in this franchise. Like, I don't feel like it's something that's cheaply thrown into the franchise. I actually deeply care about this family and every single member within it. So this continuation of that is something that I really, really loved. I thought the pacing was pretty good. All of the flashbacks, I love the flashbacks. Like all of this connective tissue all the way back to the first film to other things connecting this universe further together. So I love that. My only like nitpick negative is that the music was not as memorable as any of the other movies. One thing that I can always rely on at the end of a Fast and Furious movie, some part of the score is playing in my head during like while I'm imagining one of those ridiculous scenes, right? Like I can instantly hear the score from Fast 5 when they're going through the city with the tank and with the safe and everything like that. This movie doesn't have any memorable music
It
pieces
has that
for me.
one song that's like, I'm a dripping, I'm a tripping, I'm a lipping, I'm gonna flipping. It's like
Don't
this-
remember it.
It plays in the movie and then it plays at the end. Brian, help me out. I was trying to Shazam it because like this song is silly. It's a very silly song. You don't remember?
Yeah, I don't remember specifically. There were a couple of of songs that I think they were reinterpretations of hip hop songs, but not in English, that I did like. But as far as score, yeah, I can't say I remember anything in particular either.
Fair enough. Chris, you were a convert. You didn't love these movies, and you've come over to the Fast and Furious side. What did you think of F9?
Join the family.
This movie, where to start? This movie isn't the best Fast and Furious movie by any means, but what I appreciate about this movie is that is the most aware Fast and Furious movie that exists. It is fully aware of what it is and what it's doing, and we have characters even speaking in like meta contextual terms. And so what that does is it makes it fun. It makes the movie fun that it's so aware. And I think some viewers who are huge fans of this franchise, that might be a negative for them. I'm fully aware that those people that take this franchise more seriously than I do, I think they'll be upset. And I'm sorry for that. I think that does suck, because I know what it's like to have a franchise that you love kind of not be treated as seriously as you wish that it would be. So I do feel bad about that. But in terms of like self-awareness, this is the strongest the Fast series has ever been. It is the most ridiculous the Fast series has ever been. And if this franchise wants to continue to outdo itself and grow and continuously push the bar, I think this movie's moving in the right track. Again, it's not my favorite Fast movie, but there are some excellent set pieces, excellent action set pieces within the film that I really enjoyed. Dominic Toretto is still being Dom. Like Vin Diesel is the same person throughout all these movies. So if you want that kind of stability, he's delivering. He does some completely outlandish things that I'm sure we'll talk about in spoilers, but in turn, I was hesitant to make this my first movie back in theaters because I was really trying to hold out for Black Widow. I wanted a Marvel movie to be my first movie back in the cinema, but I think this is a perfect movie for returning to theaters. Like this, and I've said this multiple times, and I don't mean it in a derogatory terms whatsoever, but like this is just solid popcorn entertainment goodness, right? And if you want to walk into the theater and experience a crazy fucking action movie and just kind of turn your brain off, I think this is the perfect film. And what's great about the Fast franchise, and Brian, Christian and I were talking about this last night, like, I think some people could compare the Fast and Furious franchise to the Transformers movies in a way. However, I think the Fast and Furious franchise is offering more than what those Transformers movies do, because those are also like, I would classify those as popcorn movies as well, but I think you get more out of the Fast series. There are some themes in these movies. There's some messaging that I think people really will latch onto. The theme of family is very powerful in these films. So yeah, if you want to turn your brain off and go watch a movie and you want to return to theaters, if you're like me and you haven't been back to theaters, I think this is a perfect way to do so.
Can I comment on that real quick?
Absolutely.
I love that you brought up the Transformers franchise, because for me, Transformers and Jurassic Park, those franchises have kind of like fallen into the same lane as me. I love movies where I can just turn my brain off, have a great time. Like I don't need everything to be Blade Runner. I don't need everything to be super serious. My issue with the Transformers movies and the Jurassic Park movies is that the sequels just regurgitate the same shit from the other movies. Like, not enough things change, right? In the Jurassic Park franchise, every single movie has the exact same type of characters in every movie, right? They might add some new dinosaurs, but
Right.
all of the character archetypes are just the same. There's nothing new for me when it comes to that. Same thing with the Transformers. There's always the government douchebag who doesn't believe that the Transformers are good because like
I
they
hate the
cause more
robots.
damage. Right. There's always that character. They never do anything that really pushes the boundaries, right? They just introduce new Transformers, and that's the new thing. With the Fast Saga, it's constantly expanding. It's filling in gaps in the lore. It's bringing you new characters,
Yeah.
expanding the family. Like, it's actually doing what sequels are supposed to do, which is
It's
double
also-
down. Go ahead.
It's also pushing genre. Like not a ton of things change within the franchise, but it certainly, since its inception, hasn't stuck to the same genre. You know, we've talked about this before in our past episodes over the course of the month, but I don't like the first Fast and the Furious movie. I'll never revisit that movie. However, as soon as they went into heist and spy territory, which was pushing the genre of what this franchise has started out as initially, I was all in. Like, I love watching Dom traverse the globe and do ridiculous spy shit, like it, because it's so unexpected from their origins. You know, like, who would have guessed that this crew of street racers would have ended up becoming international spies? I couldn't have told you that in the early 2000s, but
They
like,
were stealing DVD players.
yes, definitely. Like,
Street racing.
what? But I think how this franchise has transitioned, the latter movies are the strongest because of the way they push genre. So yeah, there's way more here that's being offered than in either of those two franchises that you just mentioned. And I love Jurassic Park, but you're absolutely right. Like, there's no new ideas being expressed in those films.
James, what if I told you that there were animals that could transform? Would that bring you back to the...
Yes.
Okay.
So
Yes.
Have I got some news for you? Check out our weekly upload for more information on that. Chris came away very positive. Brian, your thoughts on F9?
Yeah, so just to piggyback off a couple things you guys were saying, what I like about this franchise is how it can consistently bring in new characters and bigger set pieces. This one, I think John Cena's Jakob is one of the weaker additions for me, and I think it probably falls to the writing more so than anything that he's doing personally. But with that being said, the flashback casting, Vinnie Bennett as young Dom and Finn Cole as young Jakob, I think was some of the most spot-on casting I've ever seen for younger people playing, aside from their height difference. Aside from that, the way they look and the way they act seemed very spot on with the modern Dom and the modern
It helps
Jakob.
when one of the actors shares genetics with the person that he's supposed to
And
be
yes,
portraying.
I didn't know this going in. You guys told me after the movie that yes, that is Vin Diesel's son, Vinnie Bennett. So definitely tracks. But I think for me, they leaned a little too heavily on the flashbacks and reiterating stories that we'd already been told about in prior movies. With that being said, without going into spoilers, I like how they use that to expand and add some characters back into that timeline that maybe we didn't realize had been involved in our characters' lives so far back. So for world building, they're doing everything I'm looking for there, and I'm excited to see where all of that goes. And it's got a couple of huge, ridiculous set pieces. Chris, you mentioned it, but the meta contextual stuff they're playing with, I'm not going to get into it. I'll talk about it in favorite moments, but it's some of my favorite moments in the entire series, that we were in the theater just going insane over it and probably being looked at like crazy people. But yeah, I think this movie was a lot of fun, and I will definitely obviously be seeing the ones after this. But yeah, it's not in my top few for these, but definitely happy to see where it's going.
Yeah, I think I lean more with you, Brian. I I think that the things I enjoy about the series that have escalated, right? I was pretty hot on the Fast and Furious because I think it is uniquely its own type of movie than what they become later. And I do think that they're superior from like Fast 5 being like top tier. I think they embrace the ridiculum and the car stuff, and they're doing like action, the one-liners, and then the fun, like where can we throw cars at into an action scene. I think that's
Literally.
where, yeah, exactly. I think that's where the series is the strongest. And where it's not strong is I think back to Furious 7, which is a movie I actually really like. That's like top tier. I think of the things that I don't love spending a whole lot of time on, and that's like, Michelle Rodriguez' amnesia and her relationship with Dom. Although it has some moments that are worth talking about and adds some level of heart, Furious 7 has, if not a little too much of that, but just enough that it's not annoying. And I feel like this movie is a lot of what's going on there, which is this higher drama that maybe isn't quite as interesting or ridiculous. It really feels like them actually trying to push like what makes Dom tick, and let's really go back into Dom's family and his history, and let's spend a lot of time there and really put Dom through the trials. And I don't think with what it's trying to do, introducing the character of Jakob and the turns that happen with that this movie's really hitting any kind of high in the series or among any of its contemporaries that would be trying to do something as deep and emotional as this film is really trying to do. I found some of the action set pieces to be a little thoughtless and not as innovative. Yeah, but I thought there was a faster way to say it. Maybe I'm wrong. I found some of the
inventive.
I could have sworn there was a word that sounded like that, but thank you. Innovative still fits the bill perfectly fine. I really didn't find a lot of what we were seeing as inspired as we've seen in the past. But then they introduced like these high-powered magnets later, and I won't go into too much detail, but that is the bread and butter of everything that we come to these movies to see. And as soon as we get that element, I am on board and everything is good. I do think that it doesn't have a whole lot of the highs that the series has to offer, and that's a little disappointing. And I feel like it was offering a lot of stuff that I'm not looking for. There's a huge reveal as far as the entire series. I felt like that wasn't done justice as much as it could have been, and wasn't as impactful as I think fans probably would have wanted. And I think that's reflected in its current review, where it's a little lukewarm. It's definitely not the high of the series. So that's a little disappointing. I still had so much fun at the theater. And again, I'll just say magnets and everything they do with that is just all winning. And I wish they would have introduced it way sooner. And this movie was like 45 minutes less. We do get, I rag on the main arc of Dom. We do get the most badass Dom moment we've ever got. So it builds up to this moment that I think really works. And some of the shots, although I don't think the whole narrative is working, as I was talking about after we got out of theater, artfully done. Like, I'm not convinced by anything that's happening, and this movie isn't conveying deep emotional themes to me in the way that maybe some others are getting that. Certainly our Vin Diesel lookalike we had in the back row was definitely vibing real hard, because the movie was like a thing about him. Visually and artistically, like, some of the shots were very, like, artfully done. There's a sequence in which Dom is almost in, like, a dreamlike state, and we'll talk about it more, but it fades in and out of scenes, and it's actually super cool, and that's honestly was probably one of the most innovative parts that happens, like compositionally, and that's not really why I came to see F9. But kudos to them for giving it a good try and definitely advancing the series in some way on some of those levels. But I think this, I will say, and we're all on the same page with our favorite moment. This movie, as much as it's probably bottom tier Fast series for me, has my favorite moment since we started rewatching these, hands down. And we'll talk about that in spoilers. So those are all.
I just want to say, Christian, on your point about the transition, this is Justin Lin, who first started with Tokyo Drift, and there was that amazing transition that we talked about in that episode of our character getting onto the plane after talking to his mother. I don't know if you remember, but he's doing great work with the transitions.
I think, honestly, from seeing Tokyo Drift, some of this work being done in this film and some of the other work he's done through the series, I think you give Justin Lin a great script. And I'm talking like Oscar worthy. This man executing with a fantastic writer. He has that much visual mojo to where I feel like it's an easy call. I think he can execute pretty much any script at this point. I mean, because this script is just bad. This is just a terrible script. It's.
I think he co-wrote it, so apologies to him on that level.
Hey, yeah, you shouldn't.
They dropped Chris Morgan. That was the mistake.
It was, and I think I feel it. I think I feel it, especially like just some of the ways that characters are engaging with each other. Just is kind of like there's points where I was like, all right, I enjoy Ridiculum, but this is just boring. And that's not what I want. I'll take my Ridiculum at full octane. Thank you very much. Add the NOS, please.
Yeah, you definitely shouldn't be bored in the middle of a fast movie.
Yeah, you started yawning, Chris. I know you're pretty high on this movie, but there's a lot of yawns. You checked your phone.
To our credit, we saw
I was
a 10:30
tired, dude.
p.m. screening, so it was a
but
late
you
one.
should never be bored during a fast movie.
Never.
So overall, like, I think I enjoyed my time. There's certainly, I would say, is there stuff worth seeing? Yes, 100%.
Yes,
for sure. Definitely gives you just enough, I think. Justin Lin enough. Just
Nailed it.
Somewhere. Any thoughts before we go into spoilers?
So I don't know if it's a spoiler, but I think it's clear now that Dom is a master mathematician and needs to be recognized as such. So we'll expand on that. But
he's like a physics savant.
Oh yes.
Yeah, definitely not short in the ridiculum on Dom's very quick calculations on ways to survive crazy situations. All right, let's jump into spoilers starting now. Magnets.
How do they work?
I'll tell you how they don't work. And I love it. I love that they ignore it and they just have fun with it. But you know, the crux of a lot of the very good action stuff is that they find like one set of these giant magnets, and then they apparently find a lot more that they don't really explain. And they're using magnets and reversing their polarity to pull stuff and shoot stuff out. But the entire problem behind this entire premise is that they're in a metal car where the magnets are.
Come on, it's all plastic. They thought of this, of course.
We
Not ridiculous at all.
titanium alloys with an unsynthetic polymer that
Exactly.
They cut that scene.
Yes.
They cut that scene. That's why it's so soft when people land on the cars.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why John Cena doesn't die when his back lands on the side of a car. His back isn't broken.
Vin Diesel perfectly
he's a
calculates.
Toretto, okay?
Perfectly
that
calculates how to
that's a master moment.
kick a car to catch somebody right before another car falls on it. Yeah. So, yeah, a lot of ridiculous moments, but what are some of our favorites? James, you're a special guest. You get the floor for some of your favorite moments.
Oh man, where to begin? First note that I have
Back when
anything
Dad
using-
burned alive and you found out about my secret brother.
Pretty much anything with the magnets, right? I love all of those magnet sequences, and I will defend that, Christian, because they find like a bunch of them, but in the cars, I think like each person only has like either 2 or 4.
I think they only have
So-
4.
Yeah, so I feel like they would have been able to split it up between the cars, but I mean, who cares, right?
What is it? I think they're using like 4 cars max, right?
Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
think
I
they would
agree
have
with
had
you.
enough, right?
I agree with you.
And they
The
turn the dial to
landmine.
+6, which, by the way, looks exactly. I have an audio interface for the audio
Right.
that we run the show. It's just
I
an
also
audio.
thought about that. It looks just like the Apollo. It's ridiculous.
Inside joke for audio nerds.
But the landmine sequence is just like, don't worry about it. Once you're going
Yes.
80 miles an hour, you're fine.
You're almost in the future.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
How fast do we need to go?
He's
The,
like,
the bridge sequence where like 3 people are just sitting in this huge Jeep, right? and they're going across this bridge. It's like, dude, the other end of the bridge is gone. There's no way that you could still be driving on this thing, but it doesn't matter. They do the thing where it's like a plane goes over a cliff and then you don't see it for a while and then it pops up. They do that with a car, bro.
James,
it doesn't make any sense.
James,
Great
that was the
traction.
moment. And I'm glad that that moment happened so early in the film, because that was the moment when I was like, perfect. Physics don't matter anymore.
Yep.
I'm just going to enjoy the ride from here.
I'm surprised there wasn't a
Dom-
point in which one of the bad guys' cars drove off the cliff, stuck in midair for like 5 seconds with the wheels spinning. The
Turned
bad guys
around.
looked down and went, "Uh-oh," and it just falls.
Speaking about that, and I know we're jumping all over the place here. At the end of the movie, when Tej and Roman are in space, and we were laughing so hard at the fact that he has a steering wheel on the car in space, and he's actually able to maneuver the car around with the steering wheel. Absolutely ridiculous.
Got to give him the controls
Yeah,
that he
it's like-
knows.
There's no wheels, and you're not telling me that the steering wheel controls the thrusters. You're not telling me this. Like, it's ridiculous. It doesn't matter.
He literally, we joke about how, like, all the time when a character needs to go faster, you just change gears. It doesn't matter how fast you're going, what gear you're currently in. Changing gears will
Pump it up.
Baby. And
Yep.
I'm almost certain, we only watched it once. It was probably 1:30 in the morning. I'm pretty sure he shifts gears to go faster in space.
When he goes to ram the satellite, he shifts gears and they just
then
propel
they hit the
themselves into the
NOS.
satellite.
Gotta
Oh, yeah,
shift-
they hit the NOS.
Probably.
Yeah, the gear shifter was selecting more thrusters.
Oh, man.
Lucas Black, he really knows his astrophysics.
Yeah, he does.
He's well-read 20-year-old.
James, any other favorite moments that stick out?
Oh yeah, I have so many. Like, just Dom like using like the wire from the bridge to like air drift himself to the
Turn
other
the
side.
tire to hook it.
Who gives a shit? Yeah, it doesn't
Incredible.
matter.
We were
Um,
joking that at this point, the car is just an extension of his body. It functions like a hand. It doesn't function like a car anymore. So Dom can literally do whatever the fuck he needs to do when he's inside of a car, because it's like a great master swordsman. The sword is an extension of their arm. The car is just an extension of his body at this point.
It is. Yeah, man. But I do love all of the Dom and Jakob flashbacks, if I'm being honest. Like that flashback to the racetrack, like actually seeing their dad on the track, seeing how it happened, and then learning exactly how it happened, right? How that affected Jakob, how that affected Dom before he went to prison, after he got out of prison. And then Christian already alluded to it, but that sequence where they're inside like this like silo place, the secret base, and Dom is just beating the shit out of all of these guys. He picks up one guy and like drops him on a railing. He holds on to these chains and he pulls down the entire thing. I'm like, this is why I came here. I want to see Dom, the superhero, doing all of this crazy shit, right? Like, there's so many amazing moments in this movie, and we'll talk about a few more, but another one that really stood out
Before
to me
you
was...
before you go on, James, I want
of
to
course.
reference back to that scene while you're on the subject. One of my top Dom moments that happens in all of it, because I'd been saying like Dom is invincible. He's an anime character who's like a superhero, and I love when the movies like recognize that and put the focus on him. I had said back in Furious 7 when the helicopter's looking at him, like the helicopter doesn't want to fuck with Dom because Dom could just take out the helicopter with his wrench. And this movie lets us have this moment where Dom drops in, and I swear to God, Justin Lin just watched Dark Knight Rises with Bane kicking Batman's ass, because it was that scene, but they made Dom Bane, and he cracks that dude's back. He gets dogpiled and pushes them all off and starts beating the fuck because he sees Letty and he thinks about his son, and he's like
His family.
oh my God, and he fully like hulks out, and it's. Yes, that is what I'm here to see. As much as shit as I'm putting on like Dom's past, and James, I disagree. I did not need to see that scene that Vin Diesel in the garage talked about with his dad. I never needed to see that on film. I think
The pan over to Jakob was one of the silliest.
dead.
We laughed
So
out loud.
funny.
because it's like,
oh,
and
there
then
he is.
Jakob was there, and I was joking that in a future Fast movie they should show that scene again and pan over to a new brother. Or like stepmom, like angry stepmom, who's now the villain in Fast 10 or 11.
Cipher turns out to be their stepmom or
Oh,
something.
yeah,
like
dude.
just like
Oh
pans to a
my.
younger Cipher.
And that's where if like I would be okay with that, but I don't think like they're trying to take the material a little more serious than that. But you know, I did not. We were talking about we covered the Fast Furious. I said it was actually a magical moment. It didn't work as well for Brian, but that Vin Diesel had this beautiful, really well put together monologue for the type of character he is about the death of his father, and it's like you achieved the best cinematic version of that story, and then it is so much this movie, and it's like, ugh, you're making.
I will say
feel
though,
worse.
Christian, to push back a little bit, it's the first time that we've actually seen proper professional racing, which was kind of interesting this late in the series. So I did appreciate it from that perspective.
I also appreciated them, you know, when the driver who supposedly kills Dom's dad is confronted. He goes, "Hey, we're stuck in this circle, man, going round and round." Oh, holy shit! You're right. I could just imagine the Vin Diesel lookalike behind us standing up and going, "I'm gonna get a contracting license. I'm getting out of this shithole." Anyway,
but I feel like we needed that scene to see it from Jakob's perspective, right? Like we heard the story from Dom's perspective, but getting it to see it from Jakob's perspective, where he was just doing what his dad told him to do, right? His dad confided in him, "Yo, like we don't have any money. I have to throw this race in order for us to survive, and I need your help." And he couldn't tell Dom because Dom is the golden child, right? Like he couldn't confide in Dom the way that he could in Jakob. So for me, that showed like this relationship between Jack and Jakob that we never knew before, right? Because it didn't exist. But I loved having that scene because it showed that how that relationship worked between father and son with Jakob, right? And then how he dealt with it after, like, holy shit, that was my fault. Because I did this thing that my dad told me to do, he is now dead. And then my brother goes to prison. He comes out of prison and he doesn't want anything to do with me. And now I'm alone. Michael Rooker's character says it, the worst thing you can do to a Toretto is take away his family, which is why when we get to that scene where Han joins the rest of the team and he and Dom embraces Han, you see the look on Jakob's face and he's like, "I never had this. This is all I wanted." So I feel like, again, that sense of family, again, they've managed to continue making it better and better and better. But last favorite part, and I'll move on.
hold on,
was
because
on
I
Han, right?
gotta address this. I'll let you get to your Han.
Of course.
But you can bring up this moment saying it's your favorite. I'm like, this is where the fast is. This is where it gets lower tier for me. Is that I actually think that you're onto something with like seeing it from a different perspective, as ridiculous as it is interesting. The problem is we also see it from Dom's perspective at the beginning and then revisit it, and it's like, you know, we're living in this like past thing we already had an idea of, and it's like one thing to turn on its head, but it's one thing to like show us it, introduce the other character who is like, again, as Brian said, not the best new character, like famous person they've brought in.
Not as interesting as Hobbs.
And it's clunky. It would have been so much better if they would have just done the scene that reveals how he didn't kill it, right? It's just kind of like, we remember the story as he told it, we learn a new detail, and then we get this flashback, but we're living so much in these flashbacks that it just doesn't feel as right. And especially with the old racing stuff, like we keep I've referenced several times this month Ford v Ferrari, which is like, if you like really like car movies and race movies, that's primo. It just does, you know, it's not holding a candle to that. So it's just really hard for me to see this as like, see that past stuff as positive. But you point out, I think the perspective stuff is cool. I just think it could have been less. A lot of this movie could have been less like that. But anyway, you were saying about,
I hear you on that.
Yeah, you were saying about
my last my last favorite thing that I wanted to talk about was Han's return, right? Han coming back was a huge thing for me. How do you explain this? And I feel like they actually did a pretty good job explaining that entire situation, right? Because they made sure to put in that, yeah, Giselle was working for Mr. Nobody years before you even met her. And because she loves you and trusts you, I feel like I can also trust you. And I know you can do this job because you've worked with Dom, right? So to keep you safe, to protect you from the Project Ares device that he had to steal, I'll help you fake your death. And then it just made complete sense to me. And that made me feel good because I needed Han back. Han is the best part of Tokyo Drift, hands down. And they made a mistake killing him. And I felt like with the Fast and Furious franchise, why not bring him back? He's one of my favorite members of the family, period. And I felt like it was actually a really, really smart way to bring him back, because once we get that flashback to where Shaw walks away from the scene, and then we see the car, and it's like, yep, Han wasn't even in the car at that moment, right? So I love that, because we know Mr. Nobody has the technology, he has the people and the resources to make someone disappear like this. So it made sense to me. So absolutely love that. And we're gonna gush about so many other favorite moments, but that was just a few of mine.
I think Han coming back is lame, and I love Han. I'm a Han lover, and I just think he looks bored in this movie, and he doesn't have like a glorious return. Ugh, it's bad. I think it's like
they even bring back the car he was driving in Tokyo Drift, right? The fan in my heart, I was losing it.
No, I seen it. Yeah. No, listen, I'm a fan of these things, and I'm a fan of Han. He's one of my favorites. I just think he kind of looks bored during it, and it doesn't feel like that justice for Han. We're back. It feels like he just walks in. He's
that's
like,
F10 though.
Yeah, maybe
because of that mid-credit scene. That's F10.
Maybe
we're on our way to justice for Han.
What were some of your favorite moments?
James mentioned a lot of the moments that I also thought were really funny, like the, running through the minefield and everything with the magnets. Basically, was just ridiculous. One of my favorite moments was a moment that I think we all shared, which is the very end of the film, when Dom is running through what would you even call it? A bus, a truck, the long vehicle.
Bus. It's a
train bus. Yeah. So he's running through it, and Cipher is hunting him down with a drone and firing multiple missiles at him. And he's like maneuvering around as the bus is spiraling. And then he miraculously gets to the steering wheel of the bus, and within seconds figures out how to fling the bus into the drone just as it's coming around the mountain. And that was a high. That was a high
Chris,
for the Fast franchise.
He literally somehow maneuvers so that the explosion from the impact of the missile that she shot at him propels him into her. It makes no sense, but it was absolutely glorious.
Yeah.
Look, if you were a Toretto, you would understand how it works too.
It would be obvious.
Oh yeah, totally. Because he's a physics savant. I told you. He's making calculations in his head within seconds. But yeah, that's a ridiculous moment. I also really like Han as a character, and I'm glad that he's back in the franchise. But I do think that the scene where it shows him disappearing from the car, and then the one-liner where he's like, "That's quite the magic trick," was just a really stupid way to kind of like write away we gave you some details about like his past and like how he was involved with Giselle and like why Mr. Nobody came to him. I think all that stuff is great. But in terms of like how they removed him from the car and just saying that's a great magic trick, I think that's lazy writing. I don't
think he was in the car at all, right? Like, I think he starts off in the car, and I think he drives off somewhere, and then an identical car comes out with like a digital Han inside of it. That's totally breaks away.
This is like when
never
your
shown to us.
brings
That's
up
what
a
I'm saying. Like
conspiracy theory, and you like poke holes right through it. And it's like, no, but no, you don't understand. There's this other element that I'm just going to make up.
Because the way
I'm
that
down
I look
for
at
that
it,
headcanon, dude.
If you look at Han in the car, he's all bloody, scarred, and everything because of the crash. But when you look at him where he's at with Mr. Nobody, he's fine. So that's what leads me to believe that it had to be like some type of like hologram image of Han in the car. And
with
that's
a
why it disappears.
Remote control car.
Yes, that's what I think. That's why it disappears.
We've seen it. We saw it in this movie.
Look at Hobbs and Shaw, bro. Look at the technology that they have in Hobbs and Shaw. They brought Idris literally back from the dead. Like, I think they can make a hologram of Han in a car.
I'm not disputing that. And I really like your idea. I think that's really good headcanon. What I'm asking is that the film tell us that and show us that.
Yes,
but
yes.
I appreciate where you're coming from. And if the film had said all of those things, I would have been like, Genius.
Chris is exactly
genius.
right in
They
the
did it.
fact that the film basically just says, "Yeah, I guess you weren't really in that car."
Yeah, that was fancy. How
Not
you
even a good
maneuvered that.
excuse. Yeah, it's pretty stupid. Because
But I'm really glad that he's back in the movie. And his fight scene inside one of the trucks where he's like grappling with that dude, and then he attaches the bomb to him and then kicks him out the back. That's fucking awesome. That was really fucking cool. So yeah, that was a
That
highlight
dude just
for me.
miraculously has a parachute for some reason.
Yeah.
Just wearing it in a car. Perfect.
My point was going to be that you want these movies to do what like Fury 7 did, which is when Dom goes to Tokyo, and you're like, oh, that's why he was in Tokyo. Oh, fuck yeah, that's cool. Right, and that's not what happens with the Han death thing. It's kind of like, you weren't in the car. It's like, okay, I get it, and there's holograms, sure, but that's what it feels like to me.
That scene with Dom in Tokyo really bothers me because Sean literally minutes later became the Drift King, and then Dom beats him in a race. It's like he loses all credibility.
You can't.
Instantly.
Well, I mean, because Dom doesn't lose. What do you not?
It's like, how did you let Dom in a Challenger outdrift you? You just became the Drift King like an hour ago.
You can
It
make
bugs me.
American muscle drift. You just gotta know the way to please. So what else do you need to know? I think that's a great point. See how you're laughing? That's how these movies should react, not like, just like dumb throwaways. Anyway, some great moments, Chris. Brian, some of your favorite moments from F9.
You guys have definitely brought up some of them. Early on, minefield scene, definitely great way to kick off. Just insane. One that hasn't been mentioned, Lucas Black being brought back, and the first rocket car scene that we get, just seeing him as this kind of like hobby shop,
so
insane
goofy.
cars,
It's so goofy.
Jiffy so
Lube.
perfect.
So good, in fact,
the 2-second car.
that I'd mentioned that, like, it made me sad that he wasn't more of the crew. Like, he gets a moment later.
Yeah.
But really, he's introduced with such energy and such a fun scene that just to drop him, Bow Wow, and that other guy, it's like, ugh. And it's kind of like, I was really excited because, F5 had this way of bringing these disparate parts together and just making it work, right? We see Han, and that's where we fall in love with Han, and right, and Giselle, and like, these characters come together and then form the team, and this movie just kind of like lets them all just kind of bounce around. It's not really like we don't get that like full core team. We get them eating lunch later, which is great. But
That's fair.
but like, yeah, definitely, it's such a good like pick me up of the thing, almost in like Ocean's 11 when one of your like favorite actors is joining the crew, and you're like, oh shit. And I don't, we shat on Lucas Black for a lot of reasons, but I think he's great in this movie. He's so much more cartoony than like the serious protagonist he has to be, dealing with like mommy and daddy issues. Like, he doesn't have to do that. Like, he's just having fun building a rocket car, and that's like, I want that Lucas Black, and I want him for the rest of the movie, and I want him to be part of the team. And it's kind of little disappointing because that scene is so
At least he made it to the cookout.
Yeah, he was at
That's
the cookout,
important.
so we might
Right.
see him in future movies. He might be a part of the crew. Who
And I
knows?
don't want to
Definitely.
I don't want to step on your moments, Brian, but the cookout scene, the most emotional moment out of this movie that like tries to pull at the heartstrings of Dom for so long is when Lucas Black's character sees Han. That was like the moment of Han's return and Lucas Black. I was like, oh my God, so much payoff. Like that was a great hug. And it's not much, it's just human connection, right? And what we know from the characters. That moment,
Yeah, that was
really
That was also one of my favorite scenes, especially with who pulls up at the end, and I legit almost cried. Watching that last scene.
They cashed in again on our Paul Walker love. Oh my God, I forgot to mention I watched Running Scared. I'll save it for the next upload. I watched Running
Decent
Scared.
movie.
right.
It's been a while.
I watched it just so I could talk about it in this month. You know what? Save it for later. You have to subscribe. Listen to next week. We'll have to upload to hear my retrospective on Running Scared. But anyway, yes, you're absolutely right, James. Like they still did it. They still pulled when it was like, oh, he's still in this world. It was like kind of beautiful, and they didn't bother.
Yeah, man.
doing,
I want Paul to stay immortal within the Fast and Furious franchise. I don't want him to die at all. Just let him live. Once F11 is done, he's effectively retired with Mia at their house with their 2 kids, and that's it. I don't want him to be dead. Allow him to be immortal, just like that 70s Charger.
Absolutely. Brian, any more favorite moments?
You guys brought up Dom flipping the car to save Jakob. That was one of the most insane and perfect Dom moments. But aside from that, we have not talked nearly enough about Roman Pierce.
Oh,
and
yeah.
how he's a legit Looney Tune in this. He gets crushed by a giant car and then just walks it off like he's drunk, just literally like a
The car
cartoon.
looks like it crushes him, and then
Completely
he steps
directly
out
under
from
it.
behind the car.
Yes, it's absolutely
He's
insane.
in the kill box against 14 soldiers. They show us the bullet holes in his shirt.
Yes.
Still alive.
No
when
bullets.
he's running away too, he's like 3 feet away from people firing at him and just completely avoiding the bullets. But yeah, it pays off with one of the best moments, if not the best moment in the entire series, of him just nearly saying, I am a character, I'm a lead character in a movie who cannot die. And it's just perfectly self-aware and made this movie 100% worthwhile. And we were like literally hooting and hollering like madmen during it, because like this is exactly what we're looking for from this series.
We watch, as you know, because I told you guys that this is my favorite scene in any of the Fast movies, which is Roman Pierce going like, look at this, I should have died. How silly is it that I didn't die? The only conclusion that you could logically come to is that something otherworldly is happening. This isn't
It's the
just
Pulp Fiction moment, right? It's
yeah, this isn't just luck. I am destined. I must be invincible. And we're all watching going, he's about to he's about to realize he's in Fast and Furious. He's about to realize that he is a character in a Fast and Furious movie, and will he come to it? And they just like they diffuse it so well with Ludacris.
Tej and Ramsey just
so
being
Ted's
like
just playing along a little bit and
Yeah.
then just screws with him.
Yeah, they almost ruin it with the moment later, because there's just like, I don't know who was behind. I don't know who the mastermind behind this is, but there's a moment when they're up in space, and
Okay, we should talk about this,
Ludacris is like, "Hey, just trust the math, bro. Just trust the science." And Tyrese,
also the science makes no goddamn sense.
they're in the old Pontiac that has a rocket strapped to it. It's like that car is not sealed. It's like not completely insulated. Anyway. And they run out of fuel or whatever happened. The thing breaks where they can't shoot the satellite that they have to destroy to win the mission or whatever. And then they try to have like a semi-conversation about like faith versus science. And I was like, not the movie. And we're not the movie. We have to discuss this.
This is the thing though, right? So Chris, you brought it up last night. But the underlying but very consistent non-denominational Christianity that's embedded throughout the whole series, with, you know, most obviously with Dom's chain, and that has passed down to him from his father.
Wait, what's
stuff.
to do with this chain? It's just the T. What is the T? I don't.
Oh, it's a Toretto. You're right.
T for
lowercase
Toretto.
T. It's not even a cross.
Yeah, no. There's only one Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and that's Dom. Dom and Dom.
But yeah, so we have from the beginning, this kind of like underlying Christianity, them always saying grace at dinner, and they're trying to have it pay off. And I like it. It's like, this is the farthest any of them have gone. They would realistically die in this situation. So the fact that they're still gonna, you know, go ahead and try and save the world, you know, I think it, for what it's worth, it's a decent moment, but I do agree that they haven't put in the legwork for that thematically throughout the rest of the series.
Brian, you just reminded me of 2 other scenes that we haven't talked about yet. And I completely agree with you with all the religious stuff that we see in these films. But the random discussion between Cipher and the new villain of this movie, whose name I cannot remember. They have like a 5-minute Otto, maybe, sure. Between Cipher and Otto, they have a 5-minute Star Wars debate. And during that debate, I turned to both of you and I was like, what the fuck is going on right now?
It's uncomfortable, but it paid off. It ended in a wonderful. It's the best
It
moment
was
for
a
Charlize
clever
Theron.
conversation about him being a puppet.
Right, but
was
it
so
took
good.
so long
Hilarious.
to get to the punchline.
But I'm for it. That's what like that kind of writing is what makes this series special, because you can't get away with that unless you're in bonkers car Hot Wheels comic book land. And you were like what's happened, because they were talking about Star Wars so much, and they were talking about Star Wars for a long time, because they're like just discussing what's Otto's role.
Yeah, who is he in the Star Wars mythos? You
And
know,
it-
is he Luke
it's-
Skywalker? Is he Han Solo?
and it's uncomfortably long and kind of meta, and that's what I'm here for. And then it ends with a great one-liner where
If
Charlize
this were
Theron
a
says, "You're
movie."
Yoda," and he goes, "Yoda's a powerful Jedi," and she goes, "No, he's a puppet with a hand up his ass."
Yeah, that was awesome.
Fucking clever. One of the best parts of dialogue in this entire picture.
It
Yeah,
is
this-
clever,
this so
but in the moment I
self-aware.
was like, "What? I don't know. How is this
if
happening
this
right
were
now?"
a movie, this would be the part where the villain, like, I was like, yep, we're in a full-out cartoon right now, and I don't even care. I'm having so much fun.
And can we take a moment? We've been spending 45 minutes talking about our favorite moments of this entire film. Hold on, I gotta continue recording. 45 minutes of our of this conversation is our favorite moments of the film, of which we have a lot, and there's a lot to enjoy in this movie. We have said nothing about anything John Cena did. We've talked to Jason. He's
Yeah.
a part of it in some way. And what a crime. Because John Cena, as Pop-O-Holics loyal listeners know, 2018, my favorite film, Cockblockers. Love that film. It's such a fun thing. And he plays like kind of antithetical to the type of career that a wrestler would have, like John Cena. A great comedic timing role. The man is very talented. He's physically capable, and he's got great timing. And it's just a shame, because I feel like he's so wasted in this movie. He could have had,
Very underutilized.
and it's really sad, because I feel like
That's because there's more movies to come. You know what I mean? And I didn't mean to cut you off, Christian. I'll let you go real quick.
no.
But like, I think he does a really good job in the movie as far as like those emotional beats, like what I brought up earlier with Dom hugging Han, and just the facial expression that he gives. I feel everything that he's feeling because the writing sets it up so well, in my opinion. But yeah, I kind of agree with you, Christian. It's like there's not many other scenes where it's like, oh shit, Jakob was really, really badass in this scene, or he did something really, really cool with this car. But we do have 2 more movies to go, so they didn't introduce John Cena into this one movie just for this one time. We will see him again.
I certainly hope not. I think, nothing against Vin Diesel, but like, he had to play his brother, so he kind of has to act like a Toretto, and I think that just locked him into being fucking milquetoast and boring, because he's just like, Vin Diesel's funny because he's so monotone, and when he has expressions of like, I'm gonna do my best like Vin Diesel impression here, but when he has expressions of like, he's just like, oh yeah, I do go 150 miles per hour sometimes. That is like the peak emotional arc of like, so then like John Cena has to play off that and be like, I'm also a Toretto, and he's just kind of like doing a Vin Diesel impression. And I'm sorry, James, I'm so excited that you enjoyed the performance, but I was like, ugh, fuck. He couldn't have been anybody else's brother. Come on. Couldn't have been Lucas's. Can you imagine if he was fucking the dude from Tokyo Drift, Lucas's Black's brother? That'd have been way more fun. John Cena coming in and like, I don't know where the fuck I am right now, but I'm ready to shoot a rocket up a rat's ass. And you're like, yes, John Cena, give me it. And
nobody would have cared if he was the brother of Lucas Black's character.
mhm.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Or like, I don't know, Paul Walker's missing brother, Brian O'Houlihan, or whatever his name is.
Brian O'Connor.
Just a hula.
Brian, do you have any other favorite moments?
I think we covered them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we covered them too. You guys went through.
I have one more.
Oh, James.
I have one
Good.
more. I have a whole list, but I didn't want to go too crazy. Dom and Magdalene, right? I love Dame Helen Mirren. I love her every time she shows up in these movies. She's having so much fun, bro. She walks
That scene
in,
is so
she
good.
steals that necklace, and her and Dom are just like racing through the streets. Like
Yeah.
that was awesome.
In like
getting
a
to see Helen
purple
Mirren drive.
Lamborghini
Oh yeah.
or whatever. Is
Yeah.
that a Lamborghini? I don't know.
Wasn't it like a Ferrari or something?
Ferrari,
I'm
yeah,
not sure.
something like that.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure. But yeah, I love that scene. Love Helen Mirren.
That's a good shout. Yeah.
You're right. That was a really fun scene. The movie's full of those little like fun little pop up moments that are really exciting. Yeah, all I gotta say is magnets. That's really what I'm here for. But I will shout out. I know we kind of talked about it earlier, but the scene with Lucas Black in the when they meet him in Bow Wow, when they have that conversation about Twinkie's name, they're like, you went by that. That's super fun. Seeing him, it just again made me really just want them a little bit more in the film. But you guys mentioned it. We talked about a lot of our favorite moments. So we'll go on and we'll kind of combine these last couple questions into. What are our thoughts of this series, like as a whole, like this movie in its place, like where are we putting this? Where does this hold a place in our heart? Brian, I'll start with you. Give us your take on, you've watched all of these movies. You've literally watched all of them now. Sum this up for us. Where is this in the ires of cinema? If ires? Is ires a word? The Pantheon.
There you go.
Ires.
I mean,
Fuck does
I
Ires
think
mean?
I think it stands nearly alone in its consistency, and I really think it's hard to compare it to other series.
I would agree.
I would agree with that.
But it consistently goes bigger and more insane, and it's been doing it for nearly 20 years now. 20 years. So yeah, it's really hard to compare to other series, and I think it's the sort of movie where you either like these sorts of movies or you don't. But for us who have either learned to enjoy them or have always enjoyed them, it's why you go to the movies. This is kind of what it's all about in terms of this sort of cinema. Where this compares in terms of the movies, like I said, this is probably middle of the road. Maybe for me in terms of all of the movies. I still haven't seen Hobbs and Shaw, and I'm looking forward to seeing that one very soon.
You're gonna have a blast, bro.
Oh, from what I know about it, it seems very much up my alley. But yeah, so I'm very excited to see where it goes. I think the magnets, like you said, I'm glad they waited to add that in, because that is one of the reasons why this movie is worthwhile for me, is that addition and just the insanity of the concepts that they use with that. In terms of where I want this to go, 2010, A Fast Odyssey, Dom becomes the space baby. This is it. He is the star child. And
Boom.
Buy it, store it.
Send me money, producers.
I love it.
That's what I'm looking for.
Chris, sum up Fast and Furious coming as a newbie to the series. Pretty much, you'd only seen Tokyo Drift. You've watched now four Fast films, and you've got some perspective. Sum this up, and what do you want to see from the series going forward?
Oh man. We're already on this train moving in this direction in terms of, like I mentioned earlier, the series just progressively getting crazier and crazier and crazier. And they only have 2 films left. All I would say is, like, just keep topping yourselves. Keep doing crazier things. I don't know how we can get crazier than Tej and Roman being in space. But they're going to find a way. They're going to find a way to do it.
Quantum realm, bro.
James was joking earlier that, like, he wants time travel or something. I don't want that level of crazy.
Nope,
but like,
I'm for it. Nope, James,
I
you're
don't
on
know
the
if he
right.
was joking. Let's let James speak on that, because we might be here for the time travel.
Look, sure, whatever. I just know that over the last month, I've grown to appreciate these films, and I'll definitely be seeing the final 2 as they're released. In terms of where this movie, Fast 9, is placed within the pantheon of the Fast and the Furious movies, I still enjoyed watching this movie more than the first movie. And I'm sorry, but it's at least better than the Fast and the Furious for me. I could revisit this film and have a good time. I don't think I could revisit the Fast and the Furious and have a good time. But I still think Fast 5 is a better film. I think Fast 7 was actually a better film than this one. But this certainly was a lot of fun and an enjoyable watch. So yeah, it's better than the first one, and then it just kind of gets jumbled up with all the other ones for, they're all likable for different reasons.
Indeed. James, Thoughts on the series? Where do you want to see it go?
You guys know I absolutely love this series. Like Brian said, like this is why we go to the cinema. Like this is why we go to see blockbusters, movies like this. And I don't feel like there's any other movie franchise like the Fast and Furious franchise. And they've cornered out their own little piece of the movie world, and I absolutely love it. Right? Like Mission Impossible is huge. Another franchise that
I was
just
gonna
got better
say,
and better and
that
better.
comes close. Yeah, that's on a similar level, I think.
Yeah. Like like Mission Impossible 3 is still one of my favorites, but man, like 4, 5, 6, like it just keeps getting better and better. And I love the Fast and Furious franchise. Like if I had to rank them just really quick, I wanted to rank them. I would go Fast 5, Fast and Furious 6, Furious 7, The Fast and the Furious, F9, The Fate of the Furious, Fast and Furious, The Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, and Too Fast, Too Furious. That would be my ranking. I absolutely love these movies. F9,
With Too Fast
as
and
you
Too
can
Furious
see-
being your favorite.
And that's the thing. Too Fast, Too Furious being last doesn't mean that I hate it. I love all of these movies. I just love all of the others more than that movie. As far as where I want it to go, I honestly don't care, man. Like I've said it so many different times. I don't care if you tell me that an asteroid is about to fall to Earth and Dom and his team have to drift their cars around the moon in order to
Domageddon.
land Domageddon. Yes, give it to me.
This is
They have
it.
to land on the moon, and only Dom's team can save the world from this asteroid. I don't care if you tell me that Doc Brown had to call in a favor from Mr. Nobody, and he needs Dom's team to create the best car possible in order to travel further back or forward through time. I don't care if they like go against dinosaurs. I want to see Dom versus a T-Rex. I don't give a shit. If they want to go into the MCU, if you want to tell me that the Fast and Furious franchise is in another universe of the MCU, fuck it. I don't care. This franchise has gone so far off the rails, and I'm just having so much fun. You could tell me that they live in MIB world, and the MIB needs to recruit the family to
Oh
go
my
up
God.
against some aliens. I don't give a shit. Just give it to me. I will pay my money. I will see it multiple times in theaters. I will buy every box set possible. Just give it to me.
James, you raise a great point. To some of these movies, I think the more ridiculous, the better. We're on the same page regarding that. Because I think the more these embrace just fun and family and more fun.
And forget the family.
And more family. You know, you never forget family. No, the way they always tie it into family is really one of the hallmarks of this. It doesn't matter what's happening. It always comes back to family. It doesn't matter if they're trying to rob from a drug kingpin in Brazil. It's about the family, you know? And so that's a core, okay? So you just need family. You need fast cars. You need some hot ladies. Always got to have some hot ladies. And you need ridiculousness. And I'm with you. And my pitch for what's to come is I think they should have a celebration of what the Fast series is. Maybe incorporate some old bad guys. You got Cipher coming up. Give us that Fast 10 your seatbelts. Of course, that's what it's going to be called. I want that. But then for F11. F11 is like the epilogue. It's like how fast and furious can we get? And this is a universal picture. So what does that mean? Oh, what does that mean? What are some of Universal's IP they have access to?
Well, you have Jurassic Park.
You have Jurassic Park. You have
Minions.
Minions. I didn't think of that, but you said it.
Yeah, that
Minions
stupid
joke.
Minions joke. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have, if I'm not mistaken, you do have the Mission Impossible series, right? Isn't
Is
that
it Universal or
Aren't
is it
those-
Paramount?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure that's Paramount.
So Universal needs to buy Paramount. Is what I'm saying. But you have okay. So I was wrong about that. But you have for Universal, you have all the monster movies, right? You have this
do.
like
You have
the
the-
old universe
my
they were
God.
trying to make. You bring in the fucking Mummy, and then you get Tom Cruise
It's
anyway.
like an Abbott and Costello meets the Mummy, but with
Cars.
I'm
Yes.
100% here for this.
I mean, you just tap into Chris is Googling right now the Universal properties that we have access to.
Dracula.
No, I'm looking
turns-
up.
Dracula turns young Brian into a vampire, and the family has to avenge him.
There we go. I just wanted to confirm Paramount is Mission Impossible. They do release Mission Impossible.
You still get Tom Cruise because you get the Mummy remake or whatever. You bring back Imhotep. You bring back the Scorpion King who meets Hobbs.
Yes, that okay.
There's no limit, and I do want like.
So this is like a live action Lego movie, basically.
Yes, you get it. I want fans to have a conclusive ending because it's like that's based in reality of whatever that means anymore in the series because no one can die. But like have like a actual cap to like be like, yeah, this is it. And then F11 is just like full blown bonkers town. Like keep on this track. Probably won't be my favorite, but there is a way that you make the best ride movie. You know, a movie that is just the experience of how ridiculous it is. And everybody wants to tap into new IP or like old IPs and like garner nostalgia. Like I want Universal to go like, yeah, we're going to do like Ender's Game level of IP reaching for the Fast finale. And I think it would gross billions of dollars and I would go see it and it could be like the coolest thing in the world. So that's
and the family gets pulled into Tron.
Oh,
I don't know.
Yes,
I'm just
100%.
pulling out anything. At this
Disney
point.
and
They already have
Universal would have to merge.
Yeah, and they hate each other, so that's not happening.
You know, could be tricky. But you got Jurassic Park. You got the monsters here. You know,
Dude, you know a final scene with Dom riding a raptor? Sure.
Why not?
I mean, the next movie is called Jurassic World Dominion.
Oh my god.
see, but I don't want that into Jurassic. I mean,
Already happening.
Wow.
You know, that's a great
It
way.
was already there.
I think it's a great place to end it. Is that like because of the series the way it is and how much joy I think it brings people that watch it. I imagine there's a certain person that would get like mad if my idea of Universal's IP madness happened in the Fast series. There's obviously people get mad over everything. Check out our
Space
comic
Jammed
section,
it.
full of people that hate everything. You know, our comments down there. Go down, liberals, conservatives.
There's tons of them.
We want you to hash it out down below in the most violent, egregious way possible. Anyway, that being said, this series feels like it has a certain immunity to like ruining itself. That is very, very special. Whereas like Jurassic Park, I feel like is a series that has let me down. It's let me
yeah.
You know?
For sure.
Star Wars. It's let everybody down. Now, you may like or dislike a certain film depending on how you think it let you down, but guess what? Star Wars has let everybody down in some way, shape, or form. The Fast and Furious can only let you down so much. And I think that's what makes it a truly special American thing we can all agree on. And for that, I love it. I think
Family.
Perfectly said.
fucking family. And I'm excited.
All
about
right,
my family.
James, say grace.
I will actually. Father, we thank you for the gathering of friends. Father, we give thanks for all of the choices we have made because that's what makes us who we are. Let us forever cherish the loved ones we've lost along the way. Thank you for this little angel, the newest addition to our family. Thank you for bringing Letty home. And most of all, thank you for fast cars.
Oh,
Perfect.
I had that ready.
wonderfully done.
Had that ready for my final thoughts.
Beautiful.
We can't do better than that.
No, we can't. I think that's where we're going to close it out. That is F9. Thanks for joining us here on the Pop-Holics to talk about it. If you have any, questions, comments, concerns, what did you think of F9? Throw it down in the comments below. Let us know in a review on Apple Podcast or, email us at popholicscast@gmail.com. Or in the comment section, again, fight about whatever you want. Did you get vaccinated? If you did, are you stupid? Are you smart? We want to know. You should figure it out. We'll probably come to some good conclusions down in the comment section. That's what that's for. It's not really for F9. We want to hear your vaccination theories. James, thank you so much for being on this show. Really,
Thank you guys for having me. It was a blast.
where can people find more of your work on the internet and go to your comment section to talk about vaccinations?
Yes. Follow me all over social media at JB Exclusive and at C4 Spoilers. The easiest way to find absolutely everything that we do at C4S Media Group is at carefulforspoilers.com. You'll find links to our Patreon, all of our social media. We write articles weekly covering movie news, gaming news, anime news. So check us out over there. You can also find links to all of our YouTube videos. You can also get clips there as well. There's some archived podcast episodes that aren't available anywhere else on the website as well. So yeah, if you want to check out our content, head over to the website and consider subscribing to the YouTube channel where we have C4S Villains every single Friday. We just did Loki episode 3. Can't wait to do episode 4. And we have so much other comic book properties and reviews that we're going to do in the future.
And can I say, if you're looking for like the best recap stuff, I'm not kidding. Like one of the first places to go after I watch one of the new Marvel things is checking out your channel. So great
100%.
if you're keeping up to date on those latest like series. Like you guys did all of Captain Falcon Boy. You did WandaVision. You know, it's an excellent place to get a recap. And a really like, if you're looking to dive deep, like not Christian deep. Christian deep is like, I didn't like the capes. I thought it took you out of the world. James Barnes Deep and what they offer at Careful for Spoilers is like in issue 72 of the Falcon meets Hermaphrodite Central. Everybody remembers that.
What?
Hermione. I said Hermione. Hermaphrodite? I don't know. You be the judge. Did you read the comic? James did, and he'll tell you all about it in his dissection of those weekly shows that are happening. Chris is often a guest. Can't imagine why Christian isn't a weekly guest. Probably because he offers nothing in the realm of the deep dives. It says things like hermaphrodite and fight about vaccinations in the comments. Wonder why he's never invited anywhere. Hard to tell.
Oh, no.
Indeed. Chris, I'm going to need you to edit some stuff in the video. Brian, Chris, where can people find more of your work on the internet?
Loyal viewers and listeners, you can find me on Twitter at Chris Conkling, talking about all things nerdy, comics, movies, television, collectibles. If it's nerdy, I'm talking about it.
And you can find me at True Pop-O-Holic.
And you can find my band at Midnight Satire. Search for Midnight Satire on your favorite streaming service to hear some sad boy music. Always end on the sad boy music plug. New stuff coming
Sad
soon.
boy summer.
I swear to God, it's coming. I swear to God, there's new music coming.
It's gonna happen.
That's what we do here. You know, I'm really just working on my fret in hand. I also got a show coming up on the 24th. If you're in the St. Pete area, yes, if you're in St. Pete, Florida, on the 24th at Cage Brewery, it'll be me and a long-time friend, Taylor Collier, playing with his band Han Lue. A good friend of mine from my older bands, and also Drew Dispart, and I believe Idle Moves, which is also a local band that I've known forever. So it's like a new band with people that I've known forever. Great music all around. It's going to be cool. Brian's going to be there. It's going to be great.
I will definitely be there. And I've seen Donaloo previously. They're great. Christian's band, Midnight Satire, also great. So this is going to be an awesome show.
It's going to be super cool. It'll be the first show I've played in a long time, like since way before like the pandemic even started. So it'll be fun. Hope to see, maybe we'll see a loyal listener out there. If so, say hi and I don't know, reference something on the podcast. Like Brian, Chris, what's something on the podcast they can reference so we know they're true fans?
Do you think your balls are tiny? Do you want bigger balls?
Just shout that.
I was going to bring up the...
Perfect.
If you're looking for... Just go through our list.
Indeed. All right, that's enough rambling. Thank you so much, James. Appreciate you having you. It's always great. I feel like you elevate the show to a whole other professional level, and
I
we're
appreciate that, bro.
Eternally grateful for it. Thank you so much. Brian and Chris, I guess we can keep doing this thing. That's fine.
We'll see.
Oh, nice. We made it.
All right. We look forward to hearing... we look forward to talking more and you hearing us talk. But more importantly, we want you to give back. Join the community. Follow our links down in the show notes. Email us, rate us, all that stuff. We look forward to seeing you on the next. Am I going to end this at any point? Is this...
I don't know. It's really going long.
Yeah, it is. Chris, when was the last time you watched that one Batman movie?